God. In monotheistic religions, he is referred to as the creator and the ruler of the universe and the source of all moral authority. However, in other religions, a god is referred to as a deity, a superhuman being or spirit worshipped for having powers over nature or human fortunes. The god I'm going to be speaking of today is no mere god. He is a special being, and his story revolves around how this god has fallen from the Garden of Eden. This is XenowhoJP, and his story is his fall from grace. XenowhoJP is assumed to be 21 years old and is currently living in Texas, America. Not much is known about him except those facts, and we know what his favorite games are because it is in his bio right here, where it says that he's a huge fan of Xenoblade and Doctor Who and some other stuff that are kept over there.
So the inception of Xeno, who started back when in UMN, they hosted this event where if you beat LX in Smash Brothers at least 3 times, we'll start celebrating Christmas before December. We'll start celebrating Christmas in November and also December.
Xenowho started his story at the 6th of August in 2022 when he first joined UMN, Unus Mundus Network, which is a Xeno fan server made by LXGK. When he first joined UMN, not much happened. He didn't actually speak there for a while until the 15th of August, where he spoke his first messages in the Lounge channel and started speaking there frequently. However, his story did not truly begin by this time.
I remember, nobody could have beaten LX. Like, everybody's having struggles beating LX. And then one day, I don't know where Xeno, who joins the VC, fights off against LX and beats LX. And everybody was like, yo, we can finally have Christmas early and everything.
This was a surprising day for everyone because nobody knew who Xenowho was, and he was able to save Christmas and allow them to celebrate it a while earlier than it should be. He started interacting with people, and we still haven't reached the stage of completely incoherent. However, people were starting to laugh at his messages because they thought it was really funny. He basically saved Christmas.
Yeah, he saved Christmas. But not only that, this is how we also come to find out what Xenowho is. Because the minute he won, everybody started streaming Christmas stuff, and then out of freaking nowhere, Xenowho started streaming a random scene of Doctor Who where a lot of crazy things were going on, and everybody was questioning what the hell is going on here. I'm just laughing my ass off in the VC with just how crazy and insane this is.
However, his language only degraded more and more, and it just slowly started reaching the point of incomprehensible.
Yeah, it was all cool. After everybody dipped after the whole Christmas, we see Xenowho was pretty much just streaming the entire openings of freaking Ninjago for some reason. It's just so out of nowhere, and the way he does it is so funny. I don't know how to explain it.
So to keep it consistent, right now, he saved Christmas. By fighting LX and Smash and winning. After that, he became a well-known member, and a certain event happened at the Game Awards where he just thought of an entire scenario where he would make Xenoblade 3 win in the Game Awards by fighting Jeff Keighley.
And him just going, yeah, by fighting Jeff Keighley. That's one of his more infamous moments where everybody just laughs at because of how insane. That's just Xenowho being way too insane. I remember when he told me, I never laughed so hard in my freaking life, but that was probably the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Oh my god, I can imagine it, dude. That's the Game Awards, and after that, I forgot which date exactly happened. The whole Mia and Minty incident happened. Prior to his first infraction, he was considered weird. Everybody didn't know who he really was. While they were laughing at his comments, he frequently joined VC and ruined it for other people because they were trying to have a proper conversation there. However, during the 4th and 5th of December 2022, something weird has happened. Something that nobody expected at all.
Minty was streaming a game while Xeno just randomly joined in. and was like trying to talk to Mia and Minty, and he was having some weird remarks with them.
Keep in note that Minty and Mia are very well-known UMN members and frequently had VC over there. There were a couple of other members there as well, and they were also chilling with Minty and Mia.
He called Minty mommy for some reason, and also each time like Mia was in the VC, he'd go, "Hey Mia," for some weird reason.
It has gotten to the point where XenowHo started calling Minty mommy, which he claims that he asked her if he could call her mommy first before he did it, and then he went along when Minty said, yeah, sure, he can do that. But it's still weird regardless. Let's say that Minty did allow it, Mia was still the bigger problem because she was extremely uncomfortable with him, and he even offered his credit card information to them, which just made it weirder and weirder, as if he was simping for this woman that he has never met before in his life. Mia and Minty both said that they were extremely uncomfortable by this action, and it caused him it caused him to get muted in UMN for a month or two.
I was gonna say, I remember as well that specifically he used to like do it with Mia more often than Minty, which was really, really weird because he always go, "Hey Mia," right? Really, really weird around Mia. It just felt off.
They decided, yeah, we're probably going to have to mute XenowHo, because he was not only interrupting VCs and making them worse, he genuinely made someone uncomfortable. So it was the greatest idea right now to downright mute him and act as if he isn't there to begin with. They obviously told him after that, the moderators in UMN, they told him that it wasn't right. This is entirely wrong. He shouldn't have done that to begin with, and they're frankly disgusted he did it to begin with. Because he got way more active in Lounge, I started to pick up on it as well, and we just started. I think this was when he started to speak more incomprehensibly. It started getting even less coherent than how he usually did, and it went from barely understanding him to not understanding him at all. The next day, people started asking like what happened exactly after it has been dropped that he has been weird with Mia and Minty. And everybody was shocked to know that, yeah, he was acting completely inappropriately towards them. He got muted in VC there from there onwards, but this really wasn't where he stopped in his tracks. In fact, this is when his popularity began to rise. After that whole Mia fiasco, XenowHo decided to do absolutely nothing new and just continue on with his merry day and act like how he usually did. But people started realizing who he was and what he was doing.
So XenowHo was a very popular companion inside of UMN. He regularly joined in on VCs, interacted throughout UMN, and even started joining some other servers, particularly mine. After being muted for a while in UMN, I gave him the opportunity a few times to speak, and over time, as we discovered that he was more and more funny, he slowly began to become unmuted in the servers where he had previously been muted.
Instead of being annoyed by him, people found him to be even funnier now because he's even more incomprehensible than he was before. As time continued moving on, more people knew who XenowHo was, and they were actively going to him just to have a good time. In fact, the whole incident didn't damage his image in any way, it made it stronger.
When I first found out about Xeno, I was in JV server. I'm like, oh, I see him in the VC all by himself. I'm like, you know what, okay. And then this XenowHo fella. I don't know who he is. He was speaking in a very interesting way. I'm like, okay, maybe might be on the spectrum, He might be a little disabled.
People were going to him just because he can't speak right, and it just made people laugh even harder, because it got even worse. It was clear that he either did it unintentionally or he was intentionally trying to be funny.
I think one of the most popular things about him, however, that led to his growth as being the legend that we all know him as, is how he actually typed and wrote, which again was very prominent in UMN because he was muted for a while. So it led to him only being able to express himself through the medium of text. And there have been a number of translators who have tried to decipher the ancient literature of XenowHo, many of which have failed.
At the 3rd of August in 2023, XenowHo came up with this theory about Xenoblade 3 Wave 4 DLC that was coming out soon. Nobody knew when it was releasing at this time, and XenowHo predicted that it would be releasing at April for these reasons. When he pinged people for this, everybody thought that he was full of shit. Everybody thought he was wrong. It had made no sense, and the ties that he made were to unrelated companies and unrelated studios that had absolutely nothing to do with the DLC whatsoever. We all thought that it would be releasing in June or July because of Tears of the Kingdom's release date. We thought that, it has to be something way after that. But again, we were surprised to realize.
One of the major reasons for why he was unmuted, though, was for his crazy, silly crackpot theory on the release date of the Xenoblade 3 DLC, which was completely ridiculous and in the end proved to be correct.
He was right. Let me repeat that. He was right. The trailer got announced in the 19th of April at 4 a.m. my time. I'm just frankly extremely surprised. For all the wrong reasons, he was right.
It was such a ridiculous and funny idea that nobody took it seriously, even myself.
I was extremely shocked. I saw the trailer out of nowhere. I posted it in UMN, and just everybody started saying, XenowHo was right! He was right! His theory was insane. Everybody had every reason not to believe his theory, but in the end, he was right. And it shocked everybody.
Out of nowhere, they shadow drop the release trailer for Future Redeemed, with the reveal that it was coming in a week's time.
The chat was not calm at all. People were saying, XenowHo was right! XenowHo was right! The messages were all there. It was insane. Nobody was prepared for this.
The VC was filmed with screams of, I was right, I was right, I was right, I told you, for the next 10 minutes, as we, honestly, he threw the Overwatch match. I don't know if I'm more upset about the release date or losing that match.
It was so shocking that even he himself didn't expect to be right. Say that it's all for the wrong reasons, because it was for the wrong reasons. He was still right. It still released in April, just as he said.
Basically, this big crackpot of meme theory that none of us even considered, and then even to this day, if we scroll up, there is now a thread saying I was right, created by XenowHo himself.
As this was happening, his name was spread around. Many people heard about his theory being correct. This prediction of his ensured his rise to godhood. From now on, he was revered as a god. I remember that Alex in UMN, this almost never happens. He made a role for XenowHo called the All-Knowing God. This is when he was acknowledged as a god. If this happened to anyone, they would just be commended for it. No big deal. This guy just made a really cool prediction. But it wasn't just anyone. It was this guy who just can't speak right. He was speaking a language that could be considered the language of gods because nobody can understand him. Not even a little bit. For the next couple of days, until the release of Future Redeemed, he was at his peak. People came to him left and right, and everybody wanted to speak to him. They thought this is when he was considered to be a true god. The rise was rapid. People didn't come to him for any wisdom. No, they came to him for a good time. He was someone who never failed to make you laugh, whether it was intentional or not. And people realized that right now and started coming and flocking to him. This is the height of his popularity, and people started realizing and recognizing it. They were all coming to him. He was very well known at this point and did not slow down. Not even a little bit. I have made this video not only to tell XenowHo a message, but to tell a lot of you a message as well. You have all tolerated him just because he was funny. You forget that he was annoying. I blamed a lot of you for making him bigger than he should be. And it all got to his head. It all got to his head really quickly. Xenowho is over. His story is soon to come to an end, as you realize that what he has done is far beyond just being creepy in general.
But that's not how like we discovered. Well, that was how we encountered Xenowho, but not like how we.
To quickly go over what Xenowho has done, we have to go over Potato Soup. Potato Soup is currently 17 years old and is Tempest's little sister. She usually chills at JB's server, and because Xenowho also chilled at that server, it caused issues that nobody really expected.
And that's when we all started like pay more attention to Xenowho and all of his crazy antics.
Now, the events that I'm going to tell you, nobody remembers exactly when they happened. First, Xenowho asked Potato Soup if he can see her feet on call. I do not understand the context of this, but nobody else really does either. It's just a really weird thing that Xenowho has asked for, and we just don't understand why he asked for it.
He's definitely like a god or an angel that has fallen from grace.
Next thing on the list, Xenowho asked if Potato Soup was flat or not, and it was obviously referring to her tit size, and that was just so incredibly weird. Nobody understands the context of this or the reason behind this at all. It was just straight up weird as all hell.
Granted is another Nintendo series. Had its DLC released far earlier than what the rest of us were expecting for Xenoblade Chronicles, and based on the fact.
And finally, Xenowho talking about how he's closer to Potato Soup in terms of locations compared to her boyfriend. And this was while discussing the Five Nights at Freddy's movie with her boyfriend, and Xenowho made a joke that he was closer and he could take her instead, which is downright creepy. And you guys should always remember Xenowho is not a child.
Xenowho, just as I interpreted it, just wanted to socialize, just wanted people to talk to and people to interact with. So whilst it did frustrate me and annoy me greatly.
Soon after the given events, Xenowho was gone. Nobody wanted to talk to him anymore from UMN. The mods were straight up done with him, so they banned him. And from this point onwards, started the downfall of Xenowho, where Xenowho wasn't even considered that funny anymore. Don't get me wrong, the things he said were still hilarious. It was still batshit insane, but people were growing tired, realizing that, well, he wasn't really funny because he was making good jokes or was intentionally being funny. He was funny only because he was incoherent. JB was getting tired, Vice was getting tired, and at this point, Vice has removed Xenowho from the server he created solely for him. Saying his downfall was fast is an understatement. His downfall was rapid, it was really fast. People really stopped looking to him for being funny, and less people are talking to him. And something of note that I'm going to have to point out here, he was always annoying. He was always doing something batshit insane and just straight up ruining or interrupting the conversation at hand. I have mentioned this before and I will mention this again because you all keep on forgetting to do so. Xenowho does not have good jokes. He is not funny in any way. He's only incoherent, and apparently being incoherent is enough to make people laugh. And you all laughed. You all laughed really hard. And here we are, at a stage where he is not even seen as the same person anymore. In this period, a whole lot of nothing has happened. Just people vibing less and less with Xenowho, until soon enough, he's grown sour towards us. The people who were by his side, he started insulting. And he just started straight up being racist, with no context given whatsoever. And this was the final straw. Soon after, Xenowho got banned from JB's server, the one server he was the most active in, and it's only a matter of time before he's banned from one other server where people still talk to him. The journey with him is a story that I don't mind telling, but it's a story that you all better learn something from. Ultimately, he obviously is the same person. He has just grown sour, distasteful, different, because he got more and more traction that was given to him. You all should understand that this man should not have been given the benefit of the doubt, because in doing so, you only prolonged something that should have been over ages ago. You've all seen the way he acted, and you should know, right now, that people like him, people who aren't even trying to be funny, that end up being funny anyways, should not be given traction. They should be glossed over, and that's it. Going deeper and deeper into this stupid hole has only made matters worse. And for you, Xenohu, I can't help but compare you to a candle. Your fire has been burnt out, the fire that many people were able to light. You tried to make it bigger than it really was, but in the end, you were but a candle. All you did was give a smell. Smells don't really have a distinct memory to them, and so won't you. My personal recommendation is getting off social media and straight up talking to the people that you know in real life. Your desires, everything you like, try to keep it to yourself, or try to make the people around you interested in some way, because the people online are done with you. I don't only blame you for letting it get to your head, I also blame the others for allowing it to get to your head. You should have been stopped ages before, yet it still continued. Take this as a lesson, all of you. Nobody should be justified for what they do only because they're funny. No matter what, no matter how stable they are, no matter how much of a mind they've got, never make this mistake. Not again. So, what do you think? Oh. What the?